I think supported decision making is both a process and a legal mechanism. And sometimes when we've used the term supported decision making, people are referring to the process of offering someone, an individual with support to be able to make their own decisions and control their own lives. And I guess in relation to a process of supported decision making, there's a whole body of practice and strategies, tools and ways of thinking about that process of decision making support. And I like to consider that all of us, every single individual, at times in our lives will require support with our decision making, and that process of supported decision making is relevant to anyone, not just people with disabilities. Supported decision making also refers as a term to a legal mechanism. It touches on and is about enabling people to have and exercise their legal capacity. And so seen in that way, supported decision making is a mechanism or a tool that is about putting formal decision making support in place for a person so that they're able to make legally binding decisions. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability was in Article 12. It was really exploring that area of legal capacity and saying that every person, irrespective of disability, has legal capacity and has a right to be supported to exercise their legal capacity, and laws that deny people on the basis of disability the right to exercise legal capacity are not appropriate. Many countries and laws have recognised that the mechanisms that they've had in place up until now, mechanisms like legal guardianship and committeeship, are at odds with that new way of thinking about legal capacity. And so when we talk about supported decision making in that sense, we're really thinking about it like a tool that would enable people, like a ramp, enable someone in a wheelchair to access a building. Supported decision making is a tool that should enable people to exercise their legal capacity, and that will look different for different people depending on their needs and abilities. So that might be that someone has a very severe and profound intellectual disability, and so the support that's required to enable someone to exercise their legal capacity might be very significant. And it may mean that a group of people around that person actually make decisions on their behalf, but the way that that is gone about is different to substituted decision making. I think at the moment we're in a place that is really just struggling to understand what it would look like to enable people with all types of abilities to be able to exercise their legal capacity. And I think for a long time it was seen as very black and white, all or nothing. And on that basis, there were very limited ways of thinking about capacity. And so we've struggled to, and still struggling and trying to, I guess, tease out what would support look like in these different contexts. I think that there is a tendency and a movement, because the law is so black and white, to struggle with dealing with the greyness of decision making in general. And I think it's going to require a lot of creativity to develop legal mechanisms and laws that embrace the greyness and the complexity of decision making and the huge variety of support that people will need to be able to exercise their legal capacity. I think mechanisms of substituted decision making are fundamentally at odds with the Convention. I don't think that's to say that there will be times where it's absolutely necessary for people to be supported in a way that may mean going against their immediate will and preference because of the nature of their illness, or the way that they're thinking at that moment in time is not allowing them to understand the full complexity and risks involved in a situation. So I think absolutely there may be times when that's appropriate, but I also would be very reluctant to make blanket statements suggesting that it's always appropriate to kind of deny people their legal capacity and just because I think at the heart of supported decision making and this movement is a cultural shift, and I think many people that speak about the importance of there being guardianship and substituted decision making don't fully understand yet how huge that culture shift is that underpins supported decision making.